Hello, everybody. This is or actually, I don't have a name for this. Well, this is just gonna be a segment where I just talk and ramble about things because usually when I stream, I can't ramble because then it's just like, why are you rambling? So I'll just be talking in this. Maybe I'll give you eye contact, maybe not. Perhaps when I need to, about very important topics or things that I'm talking about at the point in time. But we're just gonna be talking about anything and everything. I guess the first thing is it's currently December 22nd, 5 days before my birthday when I turned 22. And 22 is a big number, at least for me. A lot of people say like, oh, well, the 21st birthday is like the most important or the last one that really matters. Um, I think for me it's 22, because obviously they're just joking. But I think for me it's like actually 22 because there's been a lot of societal pressures I think are put on you. You're like, well, how does societal pressures? Well, 22 is like, think about it. You get out of high school at 18, 4 years, college. Get out of college at 22. You're expected to already have a job. Or some people who don't go to college at 22, you're expected to like have a good working job and already be like sort of out there, like already out there. Some people at age 22 already have kids, uh, whether wanted or unwanted. It doesn't really matter. You still have a kid, you still have a child. Um, yeah, so like 22 for me, like when I was younger, like 16, 17, 14, whatever, when I was in high school, I was like, man, 22, that's such a, I mean, it's long, it's far away, but it's not far away. I'm like, so I gave myself even more expectations. So I was like, well, society has these expectations, but I expect myself to have these as well. Because I want to stay ahead of the curve. That's usually like that's been my plan like throughout life is just staying ahead of the curve, staying ahead of things. So I was like, okay, I want my master's by 22. I want certifications by 22. And depending if I'm in college or not, I want a job lined up or have a good paying job already. Because I'm taking more of the career route. I'm not worried about children anytime soon. At least back then I wasn't. Not so much still now. I'm still not concerned with children. Uh, so it's like it's it's interesting because the thing is like I view life and I view myself in different versions. So 16-year-old me, for example, was one version of myself. 17-year-old me was another version of myself. It's like, you know how an inmate when they get out of prison they're like new chance, new me, or something along those lines. I think of that, but in a very exaggerated manner, very dramatic way. So it's like 17-year-old me was one kind of guy, 18-year-old me was one kind of guy. Yesterday's me was a different version of current me. It's like sort of that, but very more exaggerated. And that allows me to like take on tasks or like attempt things that I haven't been able to do before. So it's like, oh yeah, I failed this, for example, certification exam when I was like 17, but it's like now I'm what am I, 21. So it's of course I can pass this because I'm infinitely more smarter, infinitely more intelligent, wise than I was when I was 17. So it's sort of like that gives myself another like not excuse but like more reasoning, I guess, to try something again or try something to begin with that I might not have tried when I was younger or before. Um, I can like reinvent myself basically using that logic because I truly believe it. So like when I you truly believe something, you can do whatever. But yeah, I truly believe that logic and that concept. So I can like reinvent myself. I think. Um, so what was I saying? Yeah, 17. So 17-year-old me was like have laundry list of expectations for 22-year-old me. I'm about to become 22-year-old me, and of those expectations I've met, I've only really met actually none of them. So I'm not gonna have my master's by 22. I'll have it when I'm 22. I'll have it next semester when I finish. Um, and I've sort of like given myself sort of leeway for that by saying bachelor's while I'm 21 and then master's while I'm 22. Does that make sense? Like I get my bachelor's degree when I'm 21 and I get my master's degree when I'm still 22, like that. So that's how I've excused myself. So I guess I still sort of check that off. Um, in terms of certifications, because when I was 17, I didn't have this one certification. It's called the Security Plus. It's actually this book right here. Like, oh wow, you have the book right next to you. That's so handy, right? Yeah, that's because I've been debating this in my head, and then it revolves around this book. Um, I didn't get the certification when I was 17. I missed by one question. Took it again 2 weeks later. Missed it by like 4 questions. So I said, okay, forget about that. We'll come back after I get my minor in cybersecurity, which is what the book revolves around, is cybersecurity. And I'll just get it again. So I was like, I'll just get it while I'm in college. Well, I finish college next semester, and if I don't get this, I think if I don't get this certification while I'm still in college, so like right now basically, I'll sort of be kicking myself. So yeah, I need to. I'll be spending time starting tomorrow, not reading this specific book because it's an older version that I sort of stole from my high school. Just kidding, didn't steal. Of course, it was given to me. Gift, of course, unironically gift. Um, I'll just be like reading through the terminology because anyone in IT knows like you can talk or phrase something a million different ways using jargon. Um, so I just need to familiarize myself with the terminology in this certification, and I should be fine because I truly do understand the concepts very well. So that should be good. But yeah, there's a lot of expectations given to someone at age 22. Like you just expect to have your stuff together and still be young and stupid, which doesn't really make sense because you're 22, you're really dumb, like you're still emotional pretty much. Not as emotional as a teenager, of course, but you're still pretty emotional. You don't know what's going on around you. You're still connecting dots that have been in front of you all your life, but you haven't noticed them. So you're still connecting them. Uh, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting time. But obviously, the more wisdom you can obtain when you're younger, the better you are for the rest of the time because you'll have all that energy and you're wise. So that's cool. So hopefully, I can be pretty wise when I'm 22. This year was a pretty hectic year. So now we're about to close 2019. This year was pretty hectic. I started this year with a job as a network administrator, lab coordinator ish. I didn't really administer. I mean, I administered 3 networks. Like there were separate networks, computer networks, but I didn't really administer them. I mean, I'd mess with them. I mostly mess with like the labs, like the software on the computers. So I came in here into the 2019 with that job with no degree. I hadn't finished my bachelor's yet. Um, and now I'm finishing this year with a degree and then no job, which is pretty interesting because I actually got a better job between back then and now, but things happened and I lost the job, which I probably would have had to quit anyways because I'm taking 4 graduate classes, so those aren't exactly easy. They're pretty time consuming actually. This semester I had to try pretty hard, which says a lot because I barely try for things in general. Or I barely have to try for things in general. It's not that I don't apply myself. It's just I apply myself for the necessary amount in order to succeed at something, and then I just don't give any more effort to what's needed, like that. So that's a bit of evolution there. Um, yeah. I'm looking at the face cam and I see my hair. My hair's curling, and interesting thing about this is the longest my hair's ever been. I think, at least at the top. Probably in general, all around. Should I even show the back of my head? I can't even see it, so y'all saw it. I can't see it. Maybe I'll look at it whenever I upload it. I don't even know why I have my headset on. I can't even hear anything. I have nothing playing. Put that there. But what was I saying? I don't know. One of my mods said curly hair looks good, so I'm keeping it. Maybe for now. Even though I can't control it in the slightest. It just does whatever it wants. My short wavy hair I can't control in every aspect. If I like move one strand of hair up here, it'll just stay there. It's really weird. I can control it pretty well when it's shorter. But curly, it's like a completely different animal, so I can't really mess with it. So, but I'll attempt to keep it like this. For now, at least. I have like a month of break. Yeah. Speaking of break, all my friends go back a lot sooner than I, but I'll just be spending this time being productive because it's something that I've noticed about myself is whenever I'm giving like a extended break for school, I'll either work myself too hard or not work enough. So I'll either bum out and strictly play video games or do non-productive things for too much of the break. And then whenever the break ends, I'm like, wow, I completely wasted all that time I had to like get ahead. Or I'll work too hard, like take too many classes, study too many things. And then by the time the semester starts, I'm like, wow, I'm exhausted already because of how much I worked myself during the break. So hopefully I can strike a good balance this semester. Or no, not this semester, this break. That would be nice. uh, I'm just gonna be reading 3 books. One's a certification book, so I'll just be reading the jargon on for that book, not really the concepts themselves. Um, yeah, and you guys might be wondering, like, well, you're on break. Why don't you just relax? Why don't you just bum out? I don't know. It's like I have the expectations put on me from like earlier versions of myself, and I sort of have to meet them. Like that's how I keep myself in line. Is like I don't know. I'm very like like hyper competition in terms of like companies where they don't wait for other people to catch up to them. They compete with themselves. Like how iPhone, like Apple comes up with like the iPhone. I don't even know what they're on now. For example, the iPhone 6, and then no one's has anything close to the iPhone 6, so they make the iPhone 7, then the iPhone 8, then the iPhone 9, then the iPhone X. It's like they compete with themselves year by year, improving upon what they have without external factors influencing them as much as like someone that's directly competing with somebody else. So that's hyper competition. There's always improving. Like AirPods, they're always improving that. So it's like, yeah, they have competitors for that, but they don't really. The improvement that they're focused on is like hyper competition because they're at the top of the current phone market. It's sort of like I achieve that differently. Like I'll minimize or like I'll for example I'll have an accomplishment and I'll like minimize it. Like it wasn't that good or that's not that big of a deal. It wasn't important. You need this other thing. You need to accomplish this next task for it to actually mean something. For example, I got my bachelor's degree. Um and right away my brain was like or I was just thinking to myself, not important. Everyone gets bachelor's degrees. Uh everyone gets bachelor's degrees. Like you need the masters. Don't celebrate till you get the masters. That's just an example that just happened recently. So it's like I minimize and belittle. There's the word. I belittle my accomplishments just so I can keep going. And you're like, well, how can you ever be satisfied? I mean, it's a good balance. Like I have to balance things really well. Um, I have extremely low neuroticism, and for those who don't know, neuroticism is just a personality trait that like if you have low neuroticism, you're less likely, or you just produce less negative emotions in general than someone with high neuroticism who's very neurotic, very emotional. So they can be sad very easily. They can become sad very easily. They can fall into depression, things like that. Someone that has extremely low neuroticism, like myself, it would be very difficult for me to slip into a depression and just fill with negative emotions. So it's like, um, because I'm extremely low in neuroticism or very low neurotic, not very neurotic, I can like do things like belittle my accomplishments and still achieve what I want without like actually degrading myself. So I don't degrade myself. I don't like hurt myself. I'm just not like allowing myself to feel satisfied. It's like delayed satisfaction, I guess, which is one of the very important things you learn when you're a child. Is delayed satisfaction. Um, I just always apply it. So yeah, like whenever I graduated high school and I had my associate's degree, um, I didn't really care. I was just like, okay, so what? Like I need certifications, and I still need certifications. That hasn't changed. I still need certifications. I've spent 3 years just attending college, and I haven't got a single certification. So part of me like loves to roast myself about that. It's like, nice, bro. You've taken all these classes, and you've had all this free time in between classes or during classes, and you haven't got a single certification. What are you doing? So it's like that. So it's like I'll belittle myself or belittle my accomplishments just so I can help achieve the next thing. Because when you're busy celebrating something, when you're I'm not. My hands are over here. My body's here. You are here. So keep my body here. Because when you're busy celebrating something, like you're not focused on the next thing. It's like, it's like you're not because you're celebrating. You don't have time to be focused on the next thing. You don't have time to be getting ready because you're celebrating the thing in the past. So, but I think when I get my master's degree, I think I might have an actual celebration for that, and that'll be nice. That'll be next semester. I think I put out an open invitation on Twitter. Um, there's not a commencement date yet, but I'll definitely put it out there. I'm debating how I'm gonna do that. It's like, yeah, everyone can attend my graduation, and that's it. It's like, yeah, go home after that. Well, what if people are just flying in? Am I gonna like hang out with them at all? I don't know. I'm still debating in my head what I'm gonna do. Maybe we'll rent out a place, go to a bar or something. Who knows? Um, Something else I've noticed is like an idiosyncrasy of mine is, excuse me, I speak fast, but you've probably already noticed it, like from this video. I speak fast, but more so than just normally fast. Like people from New York speak quickly. Like they'll understand what I'm saying most of the time because I'm speaking fast. But sometimes I'll speak so fast as I'll trip over myself and I'll have to repeat something, and then I get into a stuttering battle with myself. Like usually I cut myself off after like 3 or 2 attempts. But yeah, so either I need to slow down or my tongue needs to get faster. So that's something I've noticed. So I've probably already tripped over myself a couple times in this video. So let me know. Probably haven't noticed. Maybe you have. Who knows? Uh, yeah. So there's that. What else? I'm wearing jeans because it's cold. I'm just boiling it in jeans. Yeah. Let's go back to that like version thing of myself. I think this is a really good mindset just in general for someone to have, like who's always improving upon themselves or thinks it's important to improve. I think everyone should think it's important to improve. By the way, that's just an overall human nature thing to improve, because human nature, like we wouldn't be where society is right now, where humankind is, humanity, if we didn't improve upon our situations repeatedly over and over and over and over and over. But the only way you can improve upon something is if you know where you can improve, which is just knowing where the negatives exist or where things could be better. And you can only see that if you see negatives. So it's human nature sort of to be negative. Like we're naturally pessimistic. It's like that could be better, that could be better, that could be better, that stinks, that's bad, this all can be improved. That's human nature. So it's like there's a lot of pessimism in society, and like, but no one notices it. Like no one notices like that inner pessimistic like the inner voice in their heads saying what's pessimistic. They think that's their own voice. It's really not. You have to sort of counter that voice with positive things. So overall, like you ask the average person, it's like, is the world good right now? No, the world's terrible. It's a terrible place. Everything's bad about the world. Like we just have a negative outlook on the world right now. When technically, look at all the statistics, look at all the data, look at all the things that are going on. The world is the best it's ever been. The world is the best it has ever been. It can be improved, yes. It can always be improved. But out of all of human society, all of mankind, and all of human history, it has never been better than right now. And it's like, no, people need to understand that. Like, yes, there's a pessimistic voice in your head telling you things can be improved. That's fine. It's when you don't understand that it's not your actual voice telling you that. When you just believe it. When you keep accepting those negative things over and over in your head, and you're not looking for positives, and you're not seeing the positives, your mind will naturally become negative. You will become a negative person, only seeing the negatives in things. Just naturally negatives. No one wants to be around that. It's like you have nothing to offer to the world except a negative attitude or a negative outlook, which will either spread to people who can't fight that in their, like, or either spread to someone who cannot fight that in their head, who will also become negative or have a negative outlook, or people will just forget about you. They'll just leave you. No one wants to, someone who can fight that, like myself. I don't want to be around a negative person all the time. It's like maybe I'll debate you, or maybe I can try to change some views of yours, but I don't want to be around a negative person all the time. It's like there's a lot of people out there who think the world's the worst it's ever been. That's just false. There's a what is it? There's a Twitter, I follow it. It's like progressive something.org, or I don't know. Basically, they literally just tweet out statistics of like positives that are going on. So for example, like this is just a made up statistic, but it's along the same lines. For a person to afford a car back in the 1960s, they would have had to work 2,000 hours of job. Now they only have to work 800 hours. It's like that. There's that kind of statistics. Those kind of statistics. So that's something. Like I was talking with my brother, and he was just telling me, he was just rambling about how terrible the world is and how society is crumbling, and how Western society, as we know it, will be nothing in a decade, and how there's nothing we can do about it. And I was like, hold up, relax, take a deep breath. It's like first off, you're too focused on just America, because that's what he was mostly rambling about is America, because he's in the military. But I was like, you're too focused on America itself, and there are positives happening in both America and in the world as a whole. So, like, for example, it's like some people think like revolutions are done. No one revolts against their government anymore, right? No one's ever revolted against their government like the past like 4 decades, right? Surely, no, that's false. People revolt against their government every other year. It feels like. Like I remember when I was younger, I forgot what year it was, probably like a decade ago, maybe. Egypt revolved, revolted against their government, became like sort of, they added more democratic not positions but policies in their government. Um, whether that was a complete change, whether they went from like complete, I don't even know what they were before, monarchy to democracy. I don't know, but I do know they added a lot more democratic things to their uh, type of governance. And then recently we have Venezuela, who is moving really far away from socialism, like very far away. They're taking like an opposite turn, like U-turn on socialism. And then you also have Hong Kong. So Hong Kong right now is sort of revolting against China. Now, whether that will go anywhere, like whether Hong Kong will become its own entity, who knows? I do know China dearly needs Hong Kong for financial reasons. They truly do need Hong Kong. So China might just end itself. China might put everything on the line to keep Hong Kong. And that's a lot. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But yeah, there's like constant revolutions happening all the time in current year. So that's interesting to think about. Which sort of goes into like the Second Amendment gun debate. Like the Second Amendment was only made so people could revolt against a tyrannical government. And you talk to people about that now, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can never revolt against the current government in place. You can never go up against the current military in place." Well, I'm like, "Well, look at all the other countries that have done it in the past decade and a half," and they're like, "Oh well, that doesn't matter. They're not the U.S." I'm like, "Well, first off, think about it. Tomorrow, all right, Donald Trump puts martial law in place across the entire U.S. All right, we revolt against it. Some parts of the military, some ranks aren't going to help put martial law in place. They're not going to do it. They're just going to be like, no, fuck this. I'm not obeying the order. Because I think part of the military is like you only obey a command if it's like a good command or if it's the right. I don't even know. There's like some moral shit in it. Moral stuff. Some people won't do it, but it's like if everyone with a gun. Because the thing is, the only way they're gonna actually get citizens out is with guns is if they just shoot them. Because some citizens just won't like the majority of gun owners just won't let themselves get caught. They just won't do it. They'll just die there. It's like you're gonna have to exterminate half the U.S. You're gonna have to like blow up entire cities. It's like no one wants to rule land like that. Think about it. If half the U.S. is blown up, you only have half the U.S. left that's scared of you, and like. And even then, there's still people with guns around. It's like, it's a terrible system. It would be a horrible, all I'm saying, a tyrannical government in the U.S. would still get stomped today. They could bring in all the tanks they want. They could bring in all the force of the U.S. military on the U.S. itself, on citizens. They would still get stomped, I think. Because there's just too many people. There's just too many people. It reminds me of a quote from like it was like a Japanese general during World War II. It's like, you can never invade mainland America because there is a gun behind every blade of grass. Something along those lines. He was just talking about like the absurd amount of firearms present in U.S. citizens, like in the hands of U.S. citizens. That's like that was like the main point of the quote. And I mean, it's true in like every aspect. There's millions of guns out there in the U.S. It's like good luck. You need a lot of luck to get them out of the hands of everybody. So, yeah. So like revolution is definitely still a thing, like in case it ever happened. So it's like, yeah, there's secondary things that come with having the Second Amendment, like self-defense and everything, like personal self-defense, not revolting against your government. But for someone to just throw aside the initial reasoning for the Second Amendment, I think it's just intellectually dishonest. It's like that would be you literally have to ignore the past decade and a half of revolutions, like modern day revolutions. Um, yeah, and then just ignore the statistics of gun owners in the U.S., which would just be intellectually dishonest. So it doesn't make much sense to me. Obviously, it can't make sense, but it doesn't make much sense to me. Um, so yeah, that was like I don't even know what I was just talking about, but I don't know. Have you ever been to the gun range? I've only been a few times. ARs, pistols, nothing too crazy. My uncle is like a gun guru, so he has tons of guns. But this thing is a firing range target, mostly in the heart and in the head. I think all my shots were in like directly in the heart or the head. So I'm not gonna say I'm a good shot, but I'm a good shot. I'm kidding. I don't know, bro. All I know is when you're shooting somebody, like in real life, and your adrenaline's pumping, you better hope you have a high caliber gun. You're doing some real critical damage, because if someone's running at you with the knife and their adrenaline's pumping, bro, or shooting at you, you are gonna have some tough time bringing them down. I was watching this video about why some guy carries 200 rounds. He's a Chicago police officer, and I think he carries like close to 200 rounds of ammunition ever since an encounter he had where like some guy started shooting at him. Like he pulled someone over and the guy just got out right away and started shooting at him. And I think the officer shot the guy like 20 something times or 40 something times. Or I think, let's see, I don't know how much they had carried before, but he had used a large ammunition on the person, on the individual itself. Like a lot of the rounds were inside of the person. And the guy was still coming at him. It was like an absurd amount of bullets in the man. But it's just like when adrenaline is pumping or when you're intoxicated, or like just certain things impair you from feeling pain. Like you just don't feel it. So I'm like, it's pretty crazy, bro. It's pretty crazy. Like you can shoot yourself in the head, clean through the head, and you can survive. That's not really adrenaline. That's more luck. But that reminds me of some guy that he shot himself in the head trying to kill himself, and it like went to the part of the brain that like causes depression or some shit, and the guy like didn't have depression when he woke up. Like there was nothing else wrong with him. Like he cured his depression by trying to kill himself. Don't try that at home if you're depressed. Please, just seek help. Don't do it. Don't do that. But yeah, that's like, it's pretty crazy, bro. The human body is insane. Like you hear stories like that, right? Where you survive like 60 gunshots or 20 gunshots. But then there's a part of the arm where there's just a huge vein. I think it's called the jugular vein, and it's like if you cut that, you're basically dead. It's like if that part of you, like if that vein or whatever it's called, artery, gets cut, you're done for. It's like you're done for. It's like good luck. It's like good luck. This one little cut killed you. We'll be seeing you, because like it goes straight to the heart, and it's like obviously if the heart doesn't get blood, you're gone. So that's interesting to think about. Humans are very fragile but very tough creatures when they need to be. It's interesting. It's like one or the other. It's like choose. You fall down the wrong way, you're dead. And you land on your head the wrong way, you're a goner. But please go ahead and take 40 shots to like the chest, or just 40 shots in your body in general, and walk out the hospital the next day. Please proceed. It's like human body is so weird. Yeah. So I don't know. I rambled for like 28 minutes, so I'm gonna probably end the video now. Let me know where I could do better. Please give me feedback if it should be longer, shorter. I got this idea from a mod. So TaterTote_Lemon is a mod in my stream, and he told me about how Jericho does this series. So this is where I got my inspiration from TaterTote telling me about Jericho's series, and I looked it up on Jericho's channel. And I only saw one video. It was like Jericho's thoughts of the week, and it was like from 10 years ago, and it looked like a teenager made it. He probably was a teenager, and he just rambled for like a minute and a half about like very minute topics. Like he was just like, was it rapid fire, answering things and like talking about things in like a minute and a half. So I'm like, okay, well let me do that, except truly expand upon stuff, and like just let the conversation go where it takes me for like however long I feel. So yeah, let me know if this was even like enjoyable to listen to or like watch. Just like overall any feedback, whether this is terrible, Please stop. Don't do it again. This was amazing. Marry me. Or what the fuck? Why would you ever think of this? All right, 1, 2, or 3. Let me know, whether tweet me or just reply in the comments. Thanks. YouTube. We'll see you fudge later. Bye bye.